Ooh, what's up, Philadelphia sports fans? I am Anthony Pinto.
And I'm Keith Malashevsky.
And I'm Kevin Christian.
That's right, we got the threesome going on, the gruesome threesome. But yeah, we got a jam-packed show tonight, which makes me a very excited host. I'm hoping chat is as excited for this as the host is. But yeah, what's up, guys? How you doing tonight? It's Kev, as we were just talking about. Every time you're on, it's a Flyers and chill. So yeah, how you guys doing tonight?
Good. And that is definitely the first time we haven't messed up the intro since I've been on the show.
Yeah, and that was a smooth three-way there. Not to sound overtly sexual, but Stun in chat. What up, Dennis? I'm starting to remember your Facebook name as you're in both chats now. If the Flyers didn't come back the other night, I probably would have been kicked off Twitch. Yeah, I heard that.
I have a fun story about that, by the way. So I had a friend who likes to do like 50 cents on like a parlay. Uh-huh. He did a 14-team parlay, including the Flyers losing. And if the Flyers had lost, he would have won $7,500.
Good.
Yeah, that's why you don't bet against your team. Yeah,
you don't.
He's like I love my sports teams, and it's sad that I didn't do it, but it's also 50 cents and a Flyers win, so I'll take it.
I tend not to bet on my team either way, for or against, because I've learned that I'm not really a gambler at all, to be honest, but like on the seldom I will throw schmeckles down on a sports game. I've learned that oftentimes it's always the big games. Oh, they're gonna win this playoff game. McNabb's got it, and it's like, then that's the time that that they choke, and it's this, that, and the third. So yeah, I've learned that your heart can get in the way. But yeah, the Super Bowl. That's always a fun gambling one. March Madness. But yeah, I digress.
I bet on the Super Bowl when the Eagles won, and I still didn't bet on the actual game. I bet on all of the dumb props.
Well, that's
I don't bet for or against my team.
The good one that I hit this Super Bowl was I hit Gronk on the first TD. So that was a good one. I bet the other night Couturier over 1 point last game, and he got it for me. Yeah, the props are always the more fun things, and as they say, make the game a little more interesting. As I do that's my gambler voice, in case anyone's. This is what I do when I'm gambling. This is how I talk. Apparently, it's like Ben Stiller and dodgeball, and we got something going. Oh, it's Keith Malware with the resub. 7 months. What up? How we doing in chat, co-host? As he spittles. So yeah, it's a Flyers and chill. Get those subs in. If you got Amazon Prime, you can link your account. You can support us for free. I can't recommend doing that enough. Take that $250 away from Bezos and give it to us. We need it much more. But yeah. So again, it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, the Flyers are on. Obviously, tensions are still high from last night. I see it in chat. The Sixers are coming off of a bad win last night, or bad loss, last night. And then the Eagles.
Is it really a bad loss though?
It was ugly.
It was, that's a better word. An ugly loss. Yeah, you're right. Both of you are right. I would.
Like, you kind of expect it.
It wasn't a bad loss. It was because of what was given in the situation.
Right.
But it was.
I can get behind that.
It was like you could feel it early and often that they weren't gonna. And hey, credit to them. It still was relatively close. Through most of the game, they just. Or not through most of the game, but they did come back a little bit, I think, in the fourth quarter.
At the end, yeah.
Got it towards, and then it was,
It was the first time I got to know what it was like to cheer against the Sixers, because that's usually what they do to teams, is destroy them early on and then just kind of let up at the end. And that was what I was watching, and I was like, but Denver was just toying with them.
Yeah,
like, it was over before it even started.
Yeah, that was good.
No, Mike Scott just can't cover Jokic. I mean, it's ridiculous that
Period.
we're going to pretend that this is going to happen all game.
Mike Scott can't play basketball. If I'm being blunt. But yeah, that was if I'm being honest, that was a Counter-Strike, and the game's on here, but my eyes are here last night. So that was kind of where that was. Shout out to the 3 losses that me and the boys acquired. You know, it is what it is. Sometimes you go 0-3 and you got to switch over to Overwatch for a little bit. It is what it is.
You gotta refresh the palate.
But that's the nice. At least it's, you know, losing with the boys is better than winning alone. One would say, right? I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. But yeah, Love Moran. They show talking trash to the Sabres pregame. Oh, okay. There was some smack talk pregame from Sam Moran. And
we'll fight tonight.
And good evening, gentlemen. Joe is in an all right mood just by that. Good evening, gentlemen. What up, Joe? Phillies. I feel like you add more numbers every time you're in here. Did you feel like you making new accounts? But yeah, what up, Joe?
He's got to have the Smurf accounts all over.
And everyone out there in Chatland. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about everything. We're gonna be breaking down the Phillies roster. Obviously, you know, we could kick it off with a little Flyers while we're in that. Well, it's usually only you. Yeah, you're right. It has. I don't want to say usually, but it has as of late. Keith has been getting posted by the post office, but yeah, it's you know, that's why it is. Tonight it is a jam packed. It's special that we got all 3 of the gents in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's show. As I said off the tip, that I'm a very excited host tonight. The other night on Facebook.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here.
And the other night it was freezing on Facebook. That's again, I believe in the Twitch platform. I know some people don't want to do anything new, but yeah, I believe that our product is much better here. Just you know, for you. But yeah, see, Joe's there. He likes the Facebook. But usually if we're freezing, just refresh it. Or the other thing I notice is make sure you're not on auto. Like auto quality, because I feel like that is sometimes worse than just, you know, putting it to, you know, like you could put it to 720 or whatever. I think on Facebook we might do more than 720, but here we just do 720. But like if you just put it to that, like you'll be fine, you know. So Braves may be as a bet tomorrow. Oh no. See, what is it with everyone wants to bet against their teams? Shout out to Joe Hunter in chat. I see you. Facebook's just easier. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Twitch is just one extra step. And if you turn notifications on, boom, you got the notifications. You never miss a show. Nola, yeah. Kept trying everything first. Something involving sports. Yeah, that happens. But hey, here we are, and hopefully no freezing tonight. So yeah, I guess we'll unless chat wants to talk something else. Like now, there's some baseball chatter. I would say we can lead it off with some Flyers talk. And specifically, I want to throw it to Kev and update us on the Shane Gostisbehere situation.
Yeah. So obviously yesterday he was placed on waivers. So the NHL waivers are a little bit different this year than they normally are. Basically, what it means is each team had 24 hours to take him and his full contract this year and the remaining 2 years at $4.5 million. No one did. So what it does is it gives the Flyers some flexibility to slide him to the taxi squad, open up a little more cap space. From the interview with AV today at 5 o'clock, it made it sound like this whole thing was just so that they could bench Patrick and Lindblom tonight. Only because of because Carter's not playing, they're carrying 3 goalies. And for them to bring in 2 more guys off the taxi squad, they would have been either over the cap or they wouldn't have had enough guys to play tonight. So that was the only way they could make it work, was to sit Ghost. So I looked down at chat real quick. Joe, I'm with you. Gus is way below Ghost, but the difference is this. Gus at 1 year, $3 million. Even the worst team in the league, who understands how bad he is, would take a chance on him because it's a 1-year rental and you're getting him for free. Nobody, obviously, was going to be willing to do the 4.5 for 3 years. I think they got lucky, but from what they were saying yesterday, as far as AV and what he said again today, they sure seemed to think it was no question that he was going to make it through. They had talked around the league. They had been trying to trade him all last year, so it sounds like they knew what they were doing. Didn't help my blood pressure any because I thought you really just gave up a guy who's played pretty well this year for nothing. Definitely had his bad games, but now he'll kind of bounce back and forth. For the next 30 days, he doesn't have to go through waivers again. So they can put him on the roster, they can put him back on the taxi squad without really making any effects. But by that time, the trade deadline will be over. Any cap space you're going to open up, that's when you're going to use it. So we'll see if it brings anything. But Gengas Spears a flyer, at least till the end of the year.
Yeah. Keith, you before I start rambling again?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm upset with the team for signing Gus in the first place because you basically signed somebody to do what Gostisbehere does, but he's worse, and you kind of knew that before you signed him. At least that was my opinion when the signing happened. But clearly, I am not the Flyers GM. I am not Chuck Fletcher, so it did not matter. I guess where I'm at is I get why they did it. I understand why they did it. I still would have jettisoned Gus just to clear the cap space anyway and just to get him off my roster and then seen where things went. And then if I got the trade that is rumored to be in the works, wherever it may be going, I'd be okay with that still because I feel like, and Kevin and I actually discussed this a little bit, you need to fix the team as a whole as we were fixing our forwards many years ago. We were at a logjam at center. We seem to have worked our way out of that. We have the right balance, so it seems that way. But now we're in the same thing with defense where we have too many people in that second line type pairing role. And you need somebody to really be on that top line with Provorov, and you're just missing it.
Yeah. The entire blue line, top to bottom, is just in disarray right now. I saw something in chat from Stun saying Gus was a panic move when Niskanen retired. I both agree and disagree with that. I don't know that panic move is the right term, but it definitely, if they would have had to sign him for 2 years or more, then yes, it's a panic move. They did get him for 1 year, and just by... I'm not a general manager, but my philosophy is there are no bad 1-year deals, because you can always live with that. So I guess yesterday I was a little more upset with the move than I am today. Today I'm more wondering why you couldn't get anything on the trade market for him. We were kind of talking about this in our group chat. I just feel like sometimes I'm like, are these moves just being made by the seat of their pants? And speaking of generally, like across the board, more specifically Howie Roseman, but like sometimes with these GMs, and Fletcher to this point has seemed more calculated. So I'm not trying to roast him or anything here, but it seems like in this case it's like, and did you even shop Ghost before you just did this, or was that the move like Kev was talking about earlier? Was that the only move that you had in mind? And obviously you probably looked around at every other team's cap before you did it too. So there, it was calculated that they figured he would clear and come back. But again, I just wonder. To me, I guess the contract is just that much of a deterrent. You couldn't get anything for Ghost.
So they've definitely been trying to move him for almost 9 months now. I mean,
yeah, now that I hear myself out loud too, it's like I guess no one just they could have just taken him for free, right? And they didn't. So right. Yeah, I guess obviously he didn't have a trade value. Like after I just went on that rant, I kind of listened to myself and I'm like, oh, that sounded dumb.
No, I mean, unfortunately, it's one of those things with the cap staying flat like this. It's a negative value because of the contract, because you don't know which Ghost you're getting. And it's the same thing the Flyers go through pretty much every season with Ghost. Well, are you going to get the top tier, you're going to get the bottom tier, you're going to get somewhere in the middle. If you don't know what you're getting, that contract looked like a steal when they made it. So now you're talking about, which one are you getting? So I thought a team like Florida, who just lost their top defenseman, was a really big possibility. They got the cap space going forward that they could have afforded him. He's also from Florida, which should never play into things, but we know sports well enough to know that it always does. But yeah, I think I do agree with Chad that was 100% a panic move on signing Gus. Like you said, it's not a bad contract because it's 1 year. And I think the coaches have done a pretty good job of not overusing him. AV went as far as to say he's literally only on the ice tonight because they couldn't have Ghost on the ice if they were going to make it work cap-wise. So I would expect to see Ghost back in the lineup on Saturday.
What do you make about the 3 goalie situation, and are they potentially doing damage to Carter Hart?
I think they're helping him.
Yeah?
I talked about this with my brother a couple weeks ago. First off, I would have set Brian Elliott tonight and given Alex Lyon again. Brian Elliott looks toast. He looks absolutely burnt out already. And you still got a whole other month to go. And I'm not sure you see Carter again this year.
Yeah.
They're talking about him being back Monday. They're talking about him being back early next week. Listen, goaltending is probably the most mentally taxing position in any sport. It's you by yourself. It's a totally different mindset. It's a totally different world. It's crazy. And as Chad was talking about earlier, they're talking about bringing in another goalie. That tells me that Carter's done. I don't expect to see him the rest of the year. I hope to. I hope he gets it figured out. But with the way Elliott's playing right now, if you don't go get something, it's going to be the end of your season.
Cam York has been, he was signed to an entry level or whatever.
Sure was.
It's frustrating, but I think that, and we talked about this as well yesterday. I think he gets it right eventually, but not this year. He needs to regroup and take a breather.
Yeah, I agree. And Cam York's been the best news I've seen all week, but don't expect to see him this year. No. If he comes up, it's an added bonus. But more than likely, expect to see him play for the Phantoms and check out what they're doing because, again, that's the most exciting thing going on in Flyers organization is their minor league system with guys coming up.
They're very stocked down there, which goes to show how good our scouting was.
Keith said was.
Yeah, we don't say that name anymore.
We don't.
So the scouting's no longer good? Is that what you're insinuating?
I'm insinuating that the scouting for another organization has just taken a significant step forward.
Yeah. So my take on the Carter Hart thing is, I personally I know Kev, you're 100% on the mental thing, and they do need to work that out. But in my opinion, that gets worked out through playing, and through winning. And I think that you gotta go and like my opening point with the Flyers is the blue line is in a disarray top to bottom. When I am calling for defense, there's a problem. I am Mr. Go get a winger that can score every year since I started this show. And even this year I'm acknowledging, which they still do need a scorer, as does every team in the NHL, but this team absolutely needs to find a defenseman to solidify each of their lines. And right now they're just in disarray, and that is step one to fixing Carter Hart. It's fixing your hockey team in front of him. It's not like you were saying Brian Elliott is toast, and it's not like I don't just believe that our goaltenders completely shit the bed from this year to last year. Like even Elliott was pretty damn good last year, and it feels like now granted both of them have let up goals. Both of them have taken a step back, but I feel like this entire hockey team top to bottom feels like I'm talking about the Eagles again. It just has to step up and do it for their guy too. Carter Hart feels like Wentz 2.0.
Yeah, that was what I was laughing at.
That's just like, it feels like a lazy comment. And I've heard that trending in Philadelphia. And yeah, I especially with goalies. And even with Carter Hart in particular, Hart has had this in the juniors, and he's bounced back from it. He had it a bit his first year in the NHL, or not, a bit not last year, but when he was like kind of his trial run. He's bounced back. He's done this before in his career, so I have very little to no doubt at all that he will bounce back from this. Again, when everyone was granting him the next best thing since sliced bread, I was like, chill out on that. But I still do believe that we have a goaltender here. And
I think we do too.
And I'm by no means panicking. I think they need to get... I'm panicked about the team in front of them, who seemingly have... Like, they had all of this momentum from last year, and we thought COVID might stop it, and they picked it back up, and we thought that losing to the Islanders might stop it, but this season they still picked it back up, and they weren't the best team in hockey, but they had a pretty damn good amount of momentum. They were sure in, for a playoff team, and seemingly overnight, everything has fallen apart. And that is the most questioning and concerning thing for me with the Flyers right now.
I think that we ended up in a spot where, we probably shouldn't have been the 1 seed in the playoffs last year, and that shot up our expectations to a certain degree, and we saw a little bit of regression this year for sure, and we've seen people in and out of the lineup. We saw a stretch without Couturier for a very large period of time. We saw the difference. He came back. We saw that the defense in front of Carter and Elliott has been absolutely horrendous. And I think that has contributed to what happened to Carter. I'm not saying Carter wouldn't have gone and had an issue at any point this year, but I think that he became shell-shocked at a certain point, and at this point, it's like you need to back off. It's almost, and I'll say this, and I disagree with the Wentz 2.0 thing, but I'll say this. It's almost like the O-line in Wentz, where at a certain point you get hit and you get hit and you get hit and you get hit. It's tough to go and get yourself back into that game shape that you were in and where you were at. If you're just like, well, I'm going out here and it's going to be me against the world, it's very tough to be that person who's going to have that, be able to sling it on their back every night. The team, I'm saying, and that's why. Yes, Niskanen revealed that there was a lot of other issues going on when he left, and now that's what we're dealing with.
I'm still wondering, how retired is he?
Very.
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 Because
I think Chuck calls him once a week, and every time he hangs up.
Yeah, like, I would be too. Like, honestly, if I had his number, I'd be like, yo, you up? You up?
Yo, you up?
See, and honestly, this is my thing with this team right now, is at the beginning of this season through January and February, really, they were still in a playoff spot. They were still playing. They were still winning games. They were not playing well. The offense has carried this team all season. And what they did at the beginning of the season was that the offense, who was top 3 in the league in goal scoring through the first 2 months, outplayed how bad the defense was playing. So you'd win 5-3, you'd win 5-2. You're still scoring at a level that you can just outscore teams. Now, the offense isn't there as much, and the goaltenders in March have been the worst possibly in any month, in any season in the history of the NHL. Because they lost the other night by 9 and got outshot. That can't happen. There's no way you get almost 40 shots on that and lose. Especially by more than 3, let alone to lose by 9. Yeah. Oh, God, and somebody else just got hurt. It just never ends. I think the team has actually played okay in certain games this month. And then their goalie gives up a goal that Keith could have scored. And if none of you have ever seen Keith try to play hockey, it's really saying something.
I believe it.
I should really stick to football. That's pretty much the sport that I should stick to.
It's saying something. Yeah. No, and it's honestly, it's one of those things where it's I don't know what – I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where they just can't get their mind around things, it looks like. Because once something – I mean, tonight, the first goal goes off of Braun's hip. I saw somebody in chat ripping up Braun about that. What do you want him to do? Now, I got a problem with Braun who just gave up the second goal, and I can hear that. But he's standing in front, covering in front like he's supposed to, and the shot goes off his hip. That's just a bad bounce. But then they let a bad bounce lead to a second goal. Now you're down 2-0 to the worst team in the last 25 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pathetic. That can't be how this happens. You can't be that fragile mentally, the whole team, that you can't handle getting a bad bounce. And, 11 seconds in, Coots, I believe, I was watching while we were here, put it off the post.
Yeah.
That goes in, and, is that going to be the good bounce that sends them the other way? I have no idea.
Probably.
But that's just the way this team's been. And like I said, their system, the way things they've been playing have been better. I saw somebody else in chat ripping up their passing. Yeah. I mean, and it's the simple passes. They're really, really good at making that cross the crease pass to score the goals. But, man, a simple breakout pass has become almost impossible for this team. So it's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating to watch. I've sold tickets for the first time in 5 years. I am not driving down there and putting myself in that stadium to watch this product right now. I'm just not doing it. So,
it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No.
So, would you still take that drive and go across the street to the Phillies? Are you guys going to be making it out to any Phillies games soon? Because tomorrow probably is opening day. Yeah. And I'm reaching for a little bit of a segue there. But if there are any other final thoughts in chat for anything for the Flyers, I figure we gave them a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say as the game gets worse, I'm sure we'll be going about it.
You digging the Disco Biscuits? This was my this was the only thing for a while at Citizens Bank Park last year. They did the little opening day concert into an empty Citizens Bank Park. But yeah, what up, Kevin chat? Now we got a Kev in chat and a Kev on screen. It's gonna be fun. What were you saying, Kev? I think you were saying something before I started rambling in the chat.
Like I said, I think I'm looking forward to going down for the Phils. That'll be worth going to. I think.
I might end up going there. I gotta see. We'll see. Right now, if I could, I would go to a Sixers game though. Like that's the one team and the main reason is Dwight Howard, because I've always liked Dwight Howard, and to see him play on my team would be super cool. Like he's a Hall of Famer. Like obviously he's not a Hall of Famer now. But he's going to be a Hall of Famer, you know what I mean? Like, he's not playing like a Hall of Famer when I say that, but I still, just out of respect, I never got to see him play a live game, and that'd be cool. But Phillies, I think they'll be better this year. Too cold to go. Looking forward to the Phillies winning this year. Tomorrow would be kind of it is what it is. But yeah, I think we're caught up. If I missed anything in chat, just send it back in.
I'm stoked for the Philly season. I'm definitely going to a game. I mean, it's outdoors. It's the summer. I miss going to sporting events for so long, and that's going to be the next thing I can really get to. So even if I gotta take off from work, like, I'm going.
Shout out to Jay Ziggy in chat. No better way to celebrate 10 months with the boys. That's our longest current subscriber and my favorite viewer, if I can chat. But yeah, shout out to Jamie. But yeah, we're here. It is. It's we're on the eve of opening day. There seems to be some positivity circulating the Phillies, which is always good, just like having to wear a mask. Yeah, well, it is what it is. But there is some positivity sort of floating around this team this year. And Keith, you say with good reason, and lead us off, Jimmy Rollins. Tell us why. Why? Give us some reason.
Stroking my ego here because he's my favorite.
I know that was calculated.
I have him. Where did I put his? It's right here actually. I got his MVP bobblehead right here. So
there you go.
But yeah, no, I really like the roster overall. I think we're missing a little bit as far as our starting pitching goes, but I like having Wheeler, I like having Nola, I like Moore. I do think that Spencer Howard will solidify his spot as well. The number 5 spot is what it is. You have who you have, and I like what they've done in the bullpen. I think Archie Bradley and Jose Alvarado, I think those are very good guys to have setting up. And I know you and I are on 2 different parts here, but I like Hector Neris being the closer. I think Hector Neris is a familiar guy. I think he did well in the closer role.
I'm familiar with him. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but seriously, I think that when he was sticking to his closing role, he was okay. Yes, he is not the best closer in the league. We already know that.
I'm not certain he's the best closer on this team.
I think that he's going to be better in that role. I think Alvarado is a better setup man than he is.
Yeah, I know everyone's in love with Alvarado because they saw him throw fast, but if they actually paid attention to anything more than the gun, they also would have saw that come toward the end of spring training, he struggled to miss the, to hit the strike zone. I can't do that with a closer. In my mind, you signed Archie Bradley to be the closer. That's who I bring in. That's who I want.
Right.
And that's who probably by June will be the closer.
He might be. You are correct.
But I think it depends. It's going to depend on what Neris you get. I mean, you get the one from 2 years ago. He closes all year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if he comes out and looks like he did last year, you have 2 guys behind him. Now, I'm with you on Alvarado that he was shaky for me.
He's like a 7th inning guy. He's like a situational,
right.
You see some heat in there at least, and there's some stuff, and when maybe in the 6th inning when your starter's struggling, and you got a man on second or this that you could bring him in and get you an out to close out the inning and get Nola his win. But
But I don't mind the starting with Neris. What I like this year is that there's other options.
It feels. Here's what I don't like about it, because everything you guys have said is right. I'm not trying to argue it, but it feels built for failure. It feels like, we're gonna put Neris in, and if now we have backup plans. Whereas Archie Bradley was sort of brought in to be your closer, and by not putting him in, it feels like he's already behind the 8 ball, and I don't know. It feels more built for failure than built for success. But I've been wrong before.
Which, by the way, speaking of taking our starters out in 6 innings, today is the anniversary of that, the Nola incident, shall we say?
Well, which one? Girardi did it a bunch of times last year too, but no one got on.
I'm talking about the.
Oh, I know. You're talking about when Gabe Kapler did it, and anytime Gabe Kapler did it, Philadelphia went up in arms. But it's kind of weird how last year Girardi did it a whole bunch of times to Wheeler too, and we just ignored it. And again, I'm already here with Girardi. I'm not here, but I'm already here with Girardi. And tomorrow I'm gonna be here when I see Rhys Hoskins in the 2-hole, and then it's gonna slowly from there. It's not a 60-game sprint. It's a slow 162 that I'm gonna go over and that. But it all starts. It started today with the Neris thing. I'm like, here we go. This asshole's already pissing me off. But I really want to like Joe Girardi. Just so far, he has done nothing to win me over.
No, and I'm kind of with you with the idea that, not that I think it's so much set up for failure, but to me it feels like Joe's scared because of what happened with Workman last year.
That's a good way to put it too. That's a good way to put it.
This feels like he's scared after seeing Workman collapse.
Yeah. From
having to be the guy. And then having to go back to Neris. This time they'd rather start with Neris.
It kind of goes with Keith. You brought it up. It's familiar or something. I think was the term or something. So
familiar.
Yeah, it's he goes with the slippers instead of the new sneakers or something. Yep. And it's again we'll see. I respect Joe Girardi's baseball IQ. I just there's certain things that, again, Rhys Hoskins isn't a 2-hole hitter, and we can talk.
It's good that you said that. I was going to ask you, then what would your lineup be? Because you are right, that's the projected lineup. It's going to be McCutchen leading off, Rhys Hoskins in the 2-hole, Bryce Harper is 3, Realmuto 2-4, 5 Bohm, 6 Didi, 7 Segura, 8 Hazley, and then 9 being the pitcher.
To me, it's an easy swap.
So my lineup for tomorrow, and I wrote it down.
You want Didi and Rhys to swap, don't you?
My lineup tomorrow is I go Didi 1, JT 2, Bryce 3, Rhys 4, Bohm 5, Kutch 6, Segura 7, Hazley 8, Nola 9. That's my lineup for tomorrow. I think Didi is still. You just signed him to a 2-year deal. He's going to be here. Kutch is kind of on the way down. I won't complain if he's your leadoff hitter. But I think that he's more suited to get less at bats this year. When you're sort of going to be financially more focused on Didi Gregorius, and I think for good reasons too. So I wouldn't mind having Didi up at the top, especially for tomorrow. Just get him go. Didi hasn't got a Philly crowd yet. Let him go up there right up tomorrow and get that first at bat. So that would be mine. But yeah, I would say Didi and Kutch can switch. You could have Didi in the 6 or 7. I won't complain about lineups as long as Rhys Hoskins isn't batting second or first, because we've seen that. I can't believe I had to say that. But Hoskins, no, that's not, all right. Now you're pissing me off, chat.
Yeah, don't start
with batting the pitcher 8th. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, because as long as the pitcher is 9th and Rhys Hoskins is not batting second or first, I am a fine pinto for baseball.
Keith, I actually like the lineup. Other than I would flip flop Didi and Hoskins. I think McCutchen still has the best eyes on this team. I still think he's going to draw the most walks.
I love McCutchen.
He gets on base, and whether he finds a way. Not that Didi doesn't.
Final year of his deal, I think, too.
I believe. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
They got him for 3 years when they signed him. I think this is the 3rd year, right?
Listen, I'm going with, I believe, Pinto, because if we're wrong, then I'm blaming you. So.
That's good. Hey, that's good. I'll take that.
It's a good motto to have, blame Pinto.
And listen, if you're right, then you're right.
When we got from chat, want Hoskins nowhere near a spot where runners are in scoring position. Oof. That's I guess. And that's going to be a big thing this year is what are you going to get out of Rhys? And this is kind of a big put up or shut up. And this might even be a contract year for him, if I'm not mistaken. But I've been.
I don't have the list in front of me. Did the guy we gave an 8-year contract to make the team?
He didn't.
Scott Kingery. Is that are you referring to Scott Kingery?
Now we have one more year at a reasonable price, and then we can cut our losses if he really doesn't make.
And that's actually,
oh boy,
it's a good point to bring up, and I am a little. Scott Kingery being on your roster makes this a better roster.
You're right, Joe.
It makes this Phillies team a better roster having Kingery on it. And I do think that he'll be on it, God, how long, what's the Deadpool on Roman Quinn? I got my birthday. I'm going to go May 19th. He'll be on the IR, and then you'll bring Kingery up. So, he's your first man up. And the thing that I like about starting him in the minors is it is a wake-up call because, like you were saying, he got the contract, Kev. It's a wake-up call that nothing is given and he's got to earn this. And most importantly, it's going to give him consistent, at-bats, and he's going to be getting his play in with how they're doing it this year. He's going to be playing like the Yankees squad and things like that. He's going to be playing like other teams' squads and stuff. I think it's obviously a little bit different still. I don't think the minors are fully up and running. But he will get his time and his work. Whereas if he's sitting on the bench, he might not. And I think that's got to be his big thing. Is just got to be leveling out that swing this year, and he's just got to work on driving the ball to the right center field and to right, and that's like I've been in that slump before where you get pull happy, and that's where Kingery is. He wants to be Kingery biceps, and he needs to be Kingery jetpacks.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it comes down to. You that whole launch angle mania really did get to him. Like it just,
I mean, Reese is in the same boat in a way with what you were just talking about.
He is, and that's why, like, I feel like working with Girardi's staff last year has made improvements in both. Not enough, obviously. If we do project out for Reese for a full year, he hit 10 home runs.
Yeah, Reese is on his last year of his contract too. I just looked.
Yeah,
he
just signed a 1-year re-up.
Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah, seeing Reese where he was last year, I mean, we would have hit 26 if you projected out to a full season. Like, still not quite good enough, but we're getting there. So I think we saw enough from Reese last year that I feel pretty good. Kingery, just, I need to see more. I need to see more of an improvement. And I think being in the minors, like you said, great wake-up call, great for the consistent batting. I think it ends up being something that is beneficial for him. And I feel like he will end up back up here because I think we've seen that he can be a good player. And not for nothing, like a lot of athletes, he got COVID last year and completely crapped the bed.
Yeah, and the thing about Kingery that makes him valuable on a bench too is that he can field a lot of positions. He's by no means an everyday center fielder, but you can find worse people to come off a bench to play center field. He can play second. He can play short. He can play a little bit of third. I think he was even playing last year, right? So he can play damn near every position on the field. So that makes him a valuable bench piece at worst. But again, it's right now, Keith, it's about getting some consistency and everything and leveling out that launch angle is definitely going to be number one on him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we got a lot as far as let me find the opening day roster. So other things that are interesting, the outfielders. Bryce Harper, Adam Hazley, Matt Joyce, Andrew McCutchen, Roman Quinn. Obviously, the big one that's left out there. I don't know if it's the big one, but the name that was thrown out a lot was Odubel Herrera, and I think it's just it's still kind of, for whatever term you want to use, it's kind of crazy that he's even on this team. And listening to Joe Girardi on with Mike Missinelli today, I literally tuned in just because I was like, I want to hear Girardi talk. He, when talking about Odubel Herrera, gave a strictly baseball answer, which was really disappointing to hear. Literally never made a mention of any negative thing that he had done in the past. Like, he was strictly like he's in the minors because he's got to get bats. He's missed baseball for 2 years. Like, he didn't say why he missed baseball or that like he put his hands on someone. It was infuriating, and that seems to be how the Phillies organization is handling it. It's look. It would be one thing if Odubel Herrera did time or had a punishment, but he's literally got paid time off after doing something pretty terrible. And it's just I get that there was no charges or this and that, but it's just like, oh my God, like, this guy, he shouldn't even be on the organization. He's a terrible baseball player. He was before he left. And it's just like, at some point, why are the Phillies, like, again, this is stupid money. Like, when you talk about spending stupid money, that's stupid money. You're spending $10 million to keep a negative PR around. Just cut it. Get rid of it. And now it's smart money. Like, sometimes just cutting your losses is the right thing to do. But yeah. Because I'm seeing Keith in chat. I'm like, Romuto at first? Okay. But yeah. But so yeah, just the whole thing. It really what's more offensive at this point is that they just haven't gone out and addressed center fielder. So yeah, we'll see. Hey, maybe Hazley can do some. I think if anything, and I'm sorry, I'm like going on a long-winded thing here. I think if anything, Hazley deserves to get the majority. I don't want to see Hazley platooning with Roman Quinn.
I agree.
He needs to bat against both left and right-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any other? Let's see here. The infielders. So yeah. Any other like major? I guess now just getting into it is what are your thoughts on the roster as a whole? Where are the strengths? Where are the weaknesses? And Keith, I'll throw it to you first.
Weaknesses, starters. That's pretty much where your major weaknesses. I think you have a solid lineup. I think your bench is okay. I don't think it's anything spectacular. And I think your bullpen is solid, if not, good. I think that obviously pitching is more so where you need a little work. If Kingery can show himself as a reliable player, not even a starter, but like a super utility type guy who can fill in for you on a regular basis all over the field, you end up in a position where you feel pretty good about the team. I see this team contending for a wild card. I don't know if they're going to be able to win the division, but I feel like they are a solid wild card team. That is my feelings overall for the season, because I think they've made very good improvements. Not great, but good improvements to be able to take them forward and be able to compete for something at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year what you're looking at is if this team had average bullpen,
yeah,
they're a playoff team.
Yep.
Or damn close. So I'm not sure that the lineup improved. I'm not sure it got worse. I think when you have, I think you're starting the year with, oh man, I mess this up every time I say his name. The young third baseman's name who looks like Bomb.
Boom, yeah.
Boom. See, I was gonna get it wrong, so I asked.
It's just a hard O.
Yeah, listen. I say Bomb every time. So
well, he's gonna be hit. I say Bomb. I say Bomb too because I go boom with a bomb.
So you're starting up with him this year. So and if he takes a step, if he can get Hazley in there to take a step, your offense improves. I'm not as worried about the starters. I thought the starters kind of came together last year pretty well. I like the same three they got at the top. Zach Eflin has weird games where he looks like he's could possibly be an ace someday, and other times I'm not even sure why he's on an MLB roster. So that's always fun. You never know which one you're getting. But I like the moves they made to fill 4 and 5, and hopefully they can be passable. I mean, if this bullpen works, is as significant as upgrade as it looks, or even if it's halfway as significant as it looks, they'll compete. The problem is they are in the best division in baseball. There is no weak team in this division. There's nobody you get to sit around and beat up on.
Crazy to think about how bad they were a few years ago to now.
Yeah, you got that. The West is pretty good, but it's the most competitive division, if not the best. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely agree with you there.
I think it should be a fun summer, whether or not it leads to playoffs, whether or not it leads to division title, whatever it leads to. They should be competitive, and that's really all I can ask from this team this year.
I gotta be honest, I am straight shook when it comes to this entire pitching staff. The whole notion that the bullpen will be better by default doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy.
I agree.
Just going from the worst or one of the worst in all of history to maybe the worst just to this current time doesn't make me feel all that warm and fuzzy. We'll wait.
I don't think that's that bad.
You might be right. But I'm just to. This is how I feel going into opening day. Whereas everyone's usually very positive, I tend to be scared. Very
positive.
Very.
What city do you live in?
I'm telling you, it feels like there is some strange positivity floating around the Phillies. But then you start talking about them, and you're like, wait, why is there positivity? Oh, it's just opening day.
I want to know if it's still there on Saturday, 3 days into the season.
Exactly. So
I think it will. I think there's plenty of reason to be positive.
And maybe that's just the thing is I'm just always talking to Keith, and Keith is just damn blasting rays of sunshine.
Like I said, I don't think that they're a World Series team. I just think that they're a wild card contender, and I think that's a positive step forward. And besides, what else do I need to be positive than the fact that I got I had a Pinto moment there where I couldn't talk. We got rid of my least favorite GM in Philadelphia so I could have a new least favorite GM in Philadelphia. We canned Matt Klentak, so now I can focus all my hatred on Howie Roseman.
Oh, yeah. By the way, fire Howie. Yeah, Stun saying Stun says you make us feel warm and fuzzy. All right. Also, Nick, what up in chat? I see you, and we'll get to your point. But Joe Hunter, I see his point. Will they beat the Miami or? Yeah, are they? Yeah, the Miami. Will they beat the Marlins this year? Like, that's big. But yeah, Archie Bradley, Jose Alvarez, they're very good bullpen pieces. I'll wait and hopefully, I hope you're right, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am not just going to anoint these guys because the Phillies told me that. Because when the Phillies have told me things in years past, they've been hella wrong, to use a phrase from years past. So yeah, I just like I get what all of these things, and I'm hoping we're all right. But again, it starts tomorrow, probably around, what, you think 12:10 you'll get the lineups, and you'll see Rhys Hoskins in the 2-hole, and then it's going to be downhill from there. So it is what it is. And that'll be me going, throw the year, bet the under. But yeah, again, I do think that the bullpen, it can't get worse, right? I still don't feel great about the starting rotation, though. Zach Eflin, I don't understand why they keep rolling him out as the third starter year after year after year. Zach Eflin is a fifth starter. Zach Eflin as a fifth starter makes me feel warm and fuzzy, to keep bringing back a theme that is going to be brought in. Like, Zach Eflin is
phenomenal as a fifth starter.
Exactly. Me too. That's what we should be aiming for. A guy that is a question mark should be your fifth starter, not your third. And he is, like Kev said, he's like in a way Furkan Korkmaz. Like, every time, but more like, not the ceiling or the floor isn't as bad, but it's like he's an ace once in a blue moon, and you're like, oh, there's his potential. That's when Korkmaz goes out and puts 19 up in a quarter, and you're like, oh wow, hey, he can do something, and he makes you feel all good. And then every other day in the year, you're like, oh, this guy is kind of bad, and you're just like, average at best. And that's how I feel about Zach Eflin. So again, he's your third starter. A little bit of a. You should go live so you can see your reaction when these. Maybe I'll be at work, but maybe I can put an Instagram post up or something. So follow us at War Room Philly. On that stuff. But yeah, just also Facebook.com/War Room Philly. I'm sure I'll post the status as soon as I see it. 92 wins for what? For the Braves? I could see the Braves going 92 this year. Sixto will own us for years to come. I ain't worried about Sixto because
he didn't even make his team.
I'm not worried about Sixto. Now that JT is signed, I don't really need to continue doing that. I think that now it should be building this team to the winner. That's the thing. It's you signed Real Muto, you signed Bryce Harper to win now, and this team still feels a center fielder and an arm or two short of really being in win now mode. It's going into it, I'm not sure that I think that they'll compete for a wild card spot. I think like Keith said, but at this time, I think they fall short. Just too good of a National League, much less a National League East.
You're also a very negative person, so I figure that too.
Look, I want to be positive. It's it's opening day, but I don't know. I just still see too many holes on this team, and Rhys Hoskins one of them. Maybe we trade Rhys. Gets hot for a month.
By hole, you mean 2 hole?
It's what happens when you can't draft. Yeah, copy and paste that one to the Eagles. But I can't believe the Flyers may lose to a goalie named after a movie channel.
Who the hell's in net?
I don't know.
I'm watching the game and don't know what that means. So.
I don't know.
Who wrote that? That's awesome.
Stats done, Dennis and Chad.
His name is Olmark, as in Hallmark. I believe it's the joke he's going for. Yep, that is what he's going for.
I got it.
Good.
Got it.
It's good.
I'm pretty sure it's Olmark, but I have no idea what channel that would be. Oh, that's good.
So let me see here. Where we at in Phillies? Phillies. It's the over/under for the Phillies. Oh, I just clicked out of the page. I was gonna try to see what the.
You work on that.
Here it is. 80.5. See, the Phillies win 81 games this year.
I can see that.
Yeah, 81.5.
I'll take that.
Nothing about that. Literally, no record would surprise me with this team because they got the bats to just kill teams. Yeah. I mean, they do. If they don't get destroyed, if it's not every game's not 11-10, I think they can. But they could also be in 11-10 games every night like they were last year.
When you say they got the bats, it's kind of weird because I was thinking about this, especially when I was writing up a lineup, and it's like, man, they don't, especially with Rhys, I don't know, my suspicion for Rhys Hoskins, for lack of a better word, they don't have a 4-hole hitter, like they have a 5-hole hitter in Bohm. They have a 3 or a 2 in Bryce and JT, but there's no 4-hole hitter. And then I was like, well, if you look at it in production, you're probably gonna get 20 to 25 out of JT. Bryce, I think Bryce is gonna put up home run wise some big numbers this year. It's 30 to 40.
I was thinking 35.
Yeah, 30 to 40. If Rhys can get you 20-ish, if Bohm can get you 20-ish, that's a pretty good amount of home runs right there, and that's
plus Didi and McCutch who love to just
they'll hit them. So it's like that sort of in an analytical way. Not that I'm trying to get down to it like that. In an analytical way, that solves your not having a 4-hole hitter. But it does come down to it feels like it has to. Bryce has to kind of go off power numbers wise this year for this lineup to really go. And hey, you might get it out of Bohm, you might get it out of some other guys. Like you were saying, Didi and Kutch combined are good for maybe 30.
Right.
And that's another, pretty decent. And what's Hazley get you this year? And you don't really need him to be hitting home runs, but just looking at it, because again, when you think about it, when you think about lineups, you think about 2008 and how just top to bottom, anyone could get you a situational home run, which is like a weird thing to say, but that's how that team was. It was like, oh man, we need to wake up this up. Oh, home run, cool. That's way better. It's like, it feels in a way that this team is built in a similar way. There's not really your base stealers in the lineup or anything. They're just kind of get them on, hit them home. And I'm fine with that. Putting my money on Harper MVP. Yeah, MVP candidate. I'm seeing a lot of Bryce MVP in chat. Didi could hit 4th in my opinion. Didi, look, that's a good thing about this lineup, is that a lot of hitters do have versatility to be moved around top to bottom. Yeah. I think as long as you keep Rhys out of 1 or 2, you're fine. And again, I don't want to keep bashing it, but it feels clunky to me when Rhys Hoskins works a walk in your 2-hole, and then he's stuck at first base because he can't move.
Right.
And it feels like that only pays off when Bryce then hits a home run, which might happen a lot this year, and then that makes me look stupid, right? So we'll see. It'll get me mad though. Tomorrow off the tip, Rhys Hoskins in a 2-hole hitter, and the 2-hole will make me mad. When it works, I'll still probably be mad for at least a week or so. But if it stays hot, I'll eventually shut up. Maybe. Keith might have a better.
I see. Leave that one alone.
My hope for tomorrow now is Rhys is in the 2, walks, and then steals a base to open the game.
Oh yeah.
That's my open. And I will call. I'll be FaceTiming Pinto.
Dial.
He stole a base.
Can't wait to wear my Bryce powder blues this year to a game. Yeah, rock those powder blues. I got kind of the throwback colors on tonight. I love those throwback colors. We here at War Room Philly love those powder blues. I don't know if you saw, but if you got them, throw them in chat. While we're at it, but where is it? Here we go. Let's throw those powder blues in chat. But yeah, shout out to our boy Jeff. We were talking about Jeff right before we went on, actually, doing a creator of our logo. But yeah, as far as this Phillies team goes, it's just nice to have baseball back. It's nice that. I'm hopeful that this season will, especially by the end, feel somewhat normal. You'll probably have, if not full stadiums, close to it come playoff time. Just assuming everything continues to stride in the direction that we're moving in. It's fun. It's almost like, in a weird way, that this is the start of normalcy, because we're going to start getting games every night, and baseball isn't really doing a COVID protocol thing. And I don't mean this in a bad way, for once. Like, hockey is hamstrung with the situation and how we're playing back-to-backs, and it feels like, and not in a bad way, it feels like a weird season. I think the NHL has handled it wonderful. I love the back-to-backs. Right. But it's weird, right? It's like so. But and the NBA has, it's just been a shortened season, and there's not too much different with the NBA. But you still, especially earlier, you felt it with the players dropping out with the COVID and stuff. But even the NBA now, it's between them and baseball, and then you're gonna get the draft, and it slowly feels like through sports and everything, we're returning to normalcy, which is, enlightening on so many levels for the world. So that too. So basically, what I was trying to say is baseball cures everything. I think was, but something like that. But yeah, as far as that, that's kind of my thoughts on this team. Is they're much like the other two, they're probably going to need an active general manager throughout the season, being on the phones, and if they can add, especially if they can add, like they need some help in the outfield, whether it be a starter or just a good bench piece, because what's Andrew McCutchen going to be in his third year, his final year of his deal? He's 1 year older, one more year removed from injuries, and it's just like, what are we going to get out of Kutch? I think we kind of know, but again, you're going to need to load management a bit on him, and then when that's the case, are you confident in Matt Joyce? That is he your now Roman Quinn? Like, again, they need one more outfielder. Even if it's not a solid starter, they're going to need to do something with that outfield. And I think that also solidifies that lineup one more niche. But yeah, I'm excited for this season. I don't have them as a playoff team, but I do think that they're going to be in the hunt. I hope that they're not out of the playoffs due to managerial problems. Because I mean this. I know I'm gonna be harsh on especially Girardi, because baseball is my sport, as I like to say. But I want to like him, and I want to root for him more than anything. If he's doing well, our team is doing well. But yeah. Off topic, you guys must go live during the NFL draft. On topic, I was going to mention this to them right after we get done tonight. 100%. After the success that we had last year, and given the high, now it's not going to be as high of a pick, but given where the Eagles are drafting and the importance. We are 100%. We will be live, whether it's here. It'll probably be here. It'll definitely be here. In fact, I'll just make that official now. But yeah, it'll. And again, I'm gonna talk to both of these guys, and we're gonna figure all of that out. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's go right in. It's like perfect segue. Let's start talking some Eagles. Do I like the sixth pick being traded? Well, Howie Roseman made the move, so do you think I liked it? No, I didn't like it. I couldn't stand it. And then you go and watch these 2 pro days that happened today, and no, I didn't like it. And then you take
Howie Roseman better hope that Jamar Chase has been drafted before the number 6 pick overall, because if you saw his pro day today, he was already the consensus number 1 wide receiver, and then put in that kind of pro day when you have Waddle and Smith saying, no, I'm not going to do a pro day. That says to me, listen, I'm going to just lay it on the table because I know I'm number 1 and I'm going to prove it again anyway. That's the kind of day that we're talking about. And that's why I went off when I saw the trade. That's why I went off when I saw the trade. Not because I was like, hey, look, we got another asset for next year, which I liked. And I discussed with former host Greg Hall on Twitter. There's plenty of prospects that can be had at 12 overall, and I understand that. And yes, we got to the point that we have 4 number 1 picks in 2 years potentially, if the Colts start Carson a certain amount. Yes, I am still of the faith that at 6 overall, it is very difficult, not saying impossible, very difficult to miss on a pick, and you are guaranteed to get either Pitts or Chase. And at that point, you have yourself a potential Hall of Fame offensive piece for your team to go with. The young QB you're trying to say that you're going all in on, which is why I also say that is absolute crap. And they wanted a quarterback, and they couldn't get him, so they decided to trade back.
So here's where I come down on this trade. If I can tell you right now that the 3 first-round picks the Eagles have next year are drafted by someone not named Howie Roseman, I love it.
Yeah, I'm on with that.
If he's still here, him getting an extra first-round pick doesn't help us.
Nope.
And at this point, I don't think Chase will be there at 6. I don't think Pitts is going to be there at 6. I think there's a chance that the offensive lineman from Oregon falls.
Think better than me now, or will
which
be
I
better
also
than
would
me
be fine with that, because it's another Hall of Fame type talent that you can have.
So I think at that point you're getting one of those 3 in that spot. I did not want Pitts, but I watched him today, and I may have changed my mind. The man ran sideways during his 40 and still finished at a 4.4.
If you had a competent general manager, which we don't, getting a guy like Kyle Pitts would be no problem, because you could trade both one or both of Zach Ertz and or Dallas Goedert, and you could just have him here. I don't really believe in the needing 2 tight ends thing in today's day and age. So I would have traded both of them, and then hey, there we go. Hey, you could have even got more picks since you're so obsessed with.
I'm getting angrier thinking about this right now.
And guys, remember, just calm down and remember that Howie Roseman absolutely didn't need to do this until draft day either. So just remember that. He could have seen the board and then still traded, maybe even arguably for more than we got. So if that helps, just remember that. Wait, that doesn't help. That hurts. Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe he could have traded back on draft day. I don't believe Miami. Miami would have already moved back up before that.
Yeah, no. The Eagles could have traded out at 6. They didn't need to do it now. They could have seen that. Oh, Pitt, this guy's on the board. They could have waited. No. They did it yesterday. Whenever. It's just like nothing is thought through, and then you make a post that's anti. And I don't understand how any Eagles fan at this point can give Howie Roseman the benefit of the doubt. It's just like, it boggles my mind that some people were like trying to counter roast the Howie roast that we posted. And I'm just like, what? Like,
here's my thing with that, by the way. I think by him trading back, I think that's him selling to Jeff, hey, this is a rebuild, right? Like,
he's just buying job security.
Exactly. Dude, that's why I'm so angry.
It's to the point where I'm not even mad at Howie Roseman. I'm mad at Jeffrey Lurie, because he's the one that's buying the poop and eating it.
Wait, and at this point,
I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Oh, I'm pissed.
Yeah,
and I'm disappointed.
My problem was that in 1 week we got this trade, which on its face value is not a bad move. I get it, and I had the same problems with it you guys have both mentioned, which is you didn't need to make it today. Howie still got to be the one who makes the picks, and I thought 6 was pretty hard to screw up. That's the whole reason why we wanted Peterson to throw that game. I mean, that's why we needed to see what Nate Sudfeld could provide this team.
Yep.
Now they have reports coming out that Lurie has made the first-round pick for the last 2 years, which would be Arcega-Whiteside and Rager.
Arcega was second.
So for all that we make fun of Dallas, we got the same problem here.
No, and that's we've all slowly become woke to that point too. As Eagles fans, we're all slowly, and that's why we're like, get out. Like, you're a fine owner, sign the checks, go away. Like, stop thinking you know football. And the more that he meddles, the more rope Howie Roseman gets, because these guys work together. This, that, and the third. Like, I can't. Like, I get that you won the Super Bowl, and that maybe you think that you had something to do with that, Jeffrey Lurie, but
they won the Super Bowl by accident. I don't understand how they don't get that at this point.
And you've gone
thankful as hell.
You've gone down every year since then, and I don't get it.
I mean, you notice that Dallas has started to do better once Jerry has stopped being the way he was, and now his son has been the one drafting.
Why are you the way that you are?
I still think that the Cowboys are still a mess. Right? I mean, as good pieces as they have on their offensive side.
They've gotten, some nice pieces. I'm not saying they're great by any stretch of the mean, but they over the past couple years, they've drafted some really nice pieces.
They put more of a support system around their quarterback than the Eagles ever did.
They went, hey, we're going all in on Dak, and we're going to draft CeeDee Lamb.
And that was before giving Dak the contract. They only just gave Dak the contract, whereas, again, and this is Howie Roseman, did everything bass-ackwards.
That was my problem with the whole Wentz thing, was you go and you draft a guy ahead of schedule who probably would have been there for your second-round pick, even if you had picked Justin Jefferson. And you could have had both of them. And then you go and you pick a backup quarterback, and you do nothing to secure your O-line. You do nothing for all these different things. And you end up there and you go, you know what? He's like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm never going to get support here. So I don't blame him for any bit. And the people that are upset, I haven't been able to address it. I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, be upset at Howie, not at Wentz. Like, that's who you need to be upset with. Because that's who drove us to this mess. Peterson, you can even be mad with because he can't develop a person. You haven't seen him develop anybody. Jim Schwartz, you didn't see develop anybody in our secondary or anything like that. So I'm hoping with the new coaching staff this year, we end up with a better situation, at least that way, because I know for a fact our GM isn't going to be any better. And so long as he keeps saying yes to Lurie, he's going to be around.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, this is a not good situation. It's super far from ideal. Wentz didn't help by being whinier than McNabb.
Where?
Yeah, again, show me.
Listen, I disagree with Keith in that you can't blame Wentz. Wentz could have played better. I blame Wentz for that.
I'm not saying that either.
So I think the blame goes to all three of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only whining that we've heard about Carson Wentz comes out of Jeff McClain's mouth. That's it. There's no proof. We've never heard him say it. We've never heard anything along the lines that have come out of his mouth that say, I'm unhappy with this situation.
Yeah.
None. So anything we're going on is assuming this based off of what the beat reporters say. And national guys are combating that, saying it's nonsense. This is all a Howie thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to complain about Wentz's performance, he pushed the Eagles there, I'm with you. The whining is nonsense. Donovan McNabb spoke to the media and complained about the team. Donovan McNabb spoke to the media and bitched about the coaching staff. That's whining. A guy not talking to the media, and therefore the media writing whatever they want, is not whining to the media. Carson Wentz, every time he was asked about things, answered the questions.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the story or the narrative that wanted to be written in this city, is not his fault. You knew you were getting a small farm boy when well, not small, a big old farm boy, but you knew he was a small town, quiet guy when we drafted him. What made you think he was going to be the guy who stands up and yells?
I laughed when he talked about how he likes being where he is now because it's closer to how he grew up and they're close to his wife's family. Like, I was like, people are upset because he's happy and he's saying that he likes where he is. Isn't that the job of everybody who's traded to say, hey, I love where I am?
Right. I saw everybody get really, really upset about the interview with Pat McAfee and why have we not heard anything like this? Because no one asked him those questions. They never sat down and asked him a goddamn question. So there is no one-on-one. There was no ever opportunity for that.
Wentz,
so
go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
This whole thing drives me nuts because I watched that interview and went, man, I already loved this guy. I thought he was a great quarterback. I thought he had a really, really bad year, and he always seemed like a straight-up dude. And then listening to him talk, there was no talk around. There was no bullshit. He was shooting straight from his hip and said as much that that's who I am and that's what I want to deal with. And he goes, and I'm definitely getting that here. And that's what everything you've ever heard about Chris Ballard, who's supposed to be an absolute menace of a human being, who just has no common courtesy. He says whatever he's thinking, which I love that type of person. So if that's the way he is and that's the way Carson wants people to be, so be it. The idea that he was done after Hurt and, it's nonsense. No one was worried about Jalen Hurts to this day. And there's no reason to be worried about Jalen Hurts because obviously the Eagles don't think he's a quarterback anyway. That's why they tried weeks to move up to 3 before their actual motive was to move to 12. You want to blame Wentz for this? Whatever. Again, him playing as poorly as he did really hurt this team this year. I'm 100% behind that. But the narrative that you let the media drive in this damn town, because I've seen it in all 4 teams at this point. This is the same team that cut Deshaun Jackson for gang ties with no proof. How'd that work out?
Yep.
Just because Chip Kelly didn't like him.
Yeah, wish we could have never. I wish we could have cut him before we re-signed him.
I didn't need to bring him back. I'm with you, but cutting him for nothing was stupid. Trading Shady McCoy for a broken in half linebacker is stupid. But they had ties, so let's get rid of them.
The beat writers for specifically the Eagles in this town are a bit sus.
I think all 4 teams. I think all 4 teams have some of the worst beats in all of sports. I go around and I read things, especially I've enjoyed reading some of the stuff with the LA Chargers, who they got brand new beat reporters because they just got to LA, and those guys cover the team, and it's crazy. It's not them trying to be the best, which is what I feel like the Eagles beat reporters especially do, where they're all trying to one-up each other. But Philadelphia's beat reporters are horrendous, all 4 of them.
We got I just see from Rob in chat popping in. He says, "Oh, just popping in and wondering if this Flyers team thinks the goalie is the problem, as they're now playing Lion and net." And I am getting updates from chat as it's 4-1 and Lions coming in.
4 goals on 14 shots.
Yeah.
Yes, the goaltender is the problem. Yes.
It's one of the problems.
One of the problems is 100% the goaltender.
I think the defense is the overall problem. But the goaltender hasn't exactly let's see what I'm going to say. Stopped anything? Yeah, no.
I'm like, and I know this is where you start the script, but it's like I'm almost with it, if this team continues to free fall seemingly the way that they are doing, I'm almost going to start questioning if AV's job is on the table, because
I don't think so.
Again, it shouldn't be. But if this team continues the seemingly free fall as they are, you might start hearing it. I'm not saying it, but you might start hearing it. Which is a bit bonkers, and now you see silly things like Carter Hart overrated. And again, that depends. Did you yourself overrate him? Did you think that he was all of a sudden a Hall of Famer after not even a full NHL season? Because that's on you. But if you think that, this is a guy that's 22 and struggling and having a bad year, then that's probably a little bit better. But Hart, I don't know that, again, overrated is probably, he's done this twice already before in his career, in his minor league career, where he's had slumps and he has bounced back from it. He's still, again, 22, 23, he's super young, and a goaltender's career, he's still got 10 to 15 years on those legs and in that brain. So if you're writing Carter Hart off already, you just don't know hockey. Like, I don't know how to nicely put that to you. You just simply don't understand the game of hockey, and that's cool. Thank you for following either way. Like, hockey needs all the support it can get, so just stick around. We'll explain it to you. Carter Hart is, again, it's going to start sounding like I'm copying and pasting from the Carson Wentz thing. He is part of the problem, as Kev just mentioned. All of the goaltenders right now are part of the problem, as Keith just mentioned. The biggest part of the problem is this, I almost said defensive line, is this defense. It literally feels like I'm talking football right now. That's how bad it got. It's absolutely the defense. And for me, Captain, we need a goal scorer. Literally since 2011, every trade deadline, all I've ever asked the Flyers to do is go out and get a goal scorer. Even I am like, you need to go out and get a defenseman this year. So this team is just in shambles in front of their goaltender, which isn't helping any of them. And in my opinion, that's the big one. But if you want to start writing off Hart, man, I just respectfully got to question your hockey acumen.
See, my thing with it is, the beginning, like I said, at the beginning of the season, I would have agreed with everything you just said, all of it. Right now, this team's problem is their goalies. This month, this team's problem is their goalies, because I'm half watching this game. So if Chad wants to argue with me, please do. But they're outplaying them by a lot. And every time the puck has been in their zone, it's gone in the net. Mm. That can't happen. Yeah, you need to make a save at some point.
And to your point, again, Carter Hart has lost them games this year. Brian Elliott has lost them games. Like, this is, I'm not, by me pointing out other flaws in the team, I am not dismissing. Yeah. But I just, if you're saying, like, and maybe I'm overreacting to a negative comment, but if you're saying Carter Hart is overrated, and this, last year I was very much one that, like, stop calling Carter Hart a god to people. And if that's what you were, then maybe the overrated part was more on you. Right. But if if it's like, oh, Carter Hart stinks right now, yeah, I agree with you, and I take back any mean things I said.
Val, there's no way I'm pronouncing this. The dude whose name
that's our friend Rob Vanchi. I think you may know him personally.
You probably. You do. You played football with him.
Yeah, Rob. The defensive strategy for the forwards is just horrible, because all three of them come back and no one picks up a guy at all. Mm. And that I agree. That is super frustrating to watch. But as the comment under you says, Brian Elliott's got hit in the pads on 3 of these goals and saved none of them.
Yeah, I'm not watching tonight. I cannot speak to anything that's going on in tonight's game. But yeah, and speaking to the forwards thing, the forwards are playing bad defense. The forwards are making turnovers in the defensive zone. Like, this is, when we say defense too, it's a top to bottom thing.
Yeah.
Your forwards are arguably just as in a mess as your defensive pairings are right now. You're sitting Patrick and Lindblom tonight as healthy scratches. I believe that's the second time in maybe even the month of March that Lindblom was a healthy scratch. He came back and scored a goal, I believe, against was it the Islanders? That
for the next 3 games he had a goal.
Yeah, so like, what's the point of doing that again? Is it because you think every time you scratch him he's gonna go on a goal scoring? Like,
he's sitting because he's not in hockey shape.
Yeah,
him and Nolan. I mean, it's tough when you have 2 guys who did not play in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I don't hate them both sitting, especially when it's.
So then, real quick, is calling it a healthy scratch maybe not the right terminology? Is this more load management for
yeah,
okay,
and AV said as much. I mean, then that was
again. I've been like totally out of the loop on the Flyers today, which I feel a little hurt on.
It's hilarious. People have crushed both of them this year at different points. I'm like, do you guys understand like what they did last year, which was nothing for good reason?
Mm-hmm.
Like they need a season to reacclimate, and they're young. Like
you do have to remember that this offseason was a matter of 6-7 weeks. Like it was
4 days.
Yeah, it wasn't. Wait, was it that quick? The NHL?
They had an off season, but they weren't allowed to skate. They weren't allowed to play together. Their training camp was 4 days.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like the time in between the Stanley Cup being raised and puck drop or whatever, it was very small of a gap, and that's just like it's tough. Lindblom, you give a little more forgiveness on than Patrick, because Patrick could have still been skating, but both of them are going through their own issues.
I would have said the opposite, only because Nolan was out longer.
I was actually, it's just gonna say, I don't want to minimize what Patrick was going through either.
And he was able to
skate. Migraines, you should know.
Yeah.
Right, I'm the same way.
He's got to get the CBD nasal spray. I'm telling you, it works wonders for me.
My whole thing is this: there was no training camp. You see the teams that have those veteran players, and Kevin, you've watched more of the NHL overall than I have, but I've seen the veteran teams that have been together for a while have seemed to be the better performers this year because of that limited time, and the guys that have been conditioned to the way this sport is, they've been able to succeed, whereas we have a very young team. We have a very inexperienced team, and you're seeing those players struggle this year because of that. And I'm not discounting the other issues we have with our roster and what we need to do, but that's kind of part of the overall issue this team has run into this year.
Yeah,
it's a young team.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't want to give excuses to what has just been terrible hockey at times this year. But outside of Farabee, the young guys have played bad, and that's all of them. I don't care how good or bad the player is normally. Ivan Provorov has played fine, but Ivan Provorov's the best player on this defense, and he can't play fine. That kills this team when he plays just fine. Sanheim and Myers had games where they looked like themselves, and other games where I'm not sure if they've ever skated before. So Konechny took almost 5 weeks to get his head on straight, and it's still not really there. I mean, it's the younger guys on this team took their steps last year, and that was a big reason why they were as successful as they were. And now it looks like they're stepping back.
Yeah, like you were saying,
probably
reiterating a little bit, but I was thinking about this earlier during the workday, but it's just like, man, my boy Konechny is doing bleep all this year, and I'm like, is it me? Because the last guy that I hung my horse on was Matt Reed. Is it me?
That's not the same thing. So this was my concern when they got AV. Now I like AV in general as a coach. One of the biggest things he has is he scares guys. He's He's a yeller. He's a lappy.
Disciplinarian, as they would say.
Yeah, and in New York, he had a guy. Now, if anyone's watched any of the sad games against the Rangers recently, you'll know this guy's name. But there was a young player similar to Konechny who was a goal scorer who's not as good in his own zone by the name of Pavel Buchnevich. He got sat a lot under AV. He got played on third line in lower minutes. And the year after he left, he blew up and became one of the better players on that team. I'm concerned that's what's happening here. And if AV had lasted another year in New York, I'm positive that Buchnevich would not be a Ranger. And I'm concerned about that with Konechny. I'm concerned that that's the piece they move. If you're going to make a move, my guess is that you try and move a guy like Voracek.
I hope.
That's what we were talking about. Last week we were talking about that, and it was like, I think, Kev, you were in chat, actually.
I was.
And because Joe said, blow it up, trade everyone or something. And you're like, who do you trade? And it was like,
who do you trade?
Voracek, JVR are the two potentially realistic ones, I would think.
Right. And it's one of those things where moving either of them hurts you. I don't care how high or low you think of Jake Voracek. He is a top 10 winger in this league, points-wise. Now, whether that is easy to watch every night, whether that's fun to watch every night, I get it. He frustrates the hell out of me. But the dude gets points. And you have to – at some point, you have to figure out how to replace that, and it's not that easy. So, I'm not sure you can move that contract with what's going on with the cap. I think it's a tough contract to move. I think JVR's is much more manageable, but what does that do to this team?
Yeah, just real quick, just to give people an inkling, like for where pretty much every NHL team's cap is, they could have just got Shane Gostisbehere for free,
right,
and didn't take him. So what does a team do to free up the space to get a guy like Voracek?
Is the expansion draft next year?
Say that again.
Like, is the expansion draft this offseason or next?
Oh yeah, it's at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be something that you see teams protect their younger, cheaper guys and leave those guys out there hoping that they get taken by the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Voracek doesn't have a no movement clause, right?
No, the Flyers only.
I know Giroux does. I know, yeah.
It's Giroux and Hayes.
Yeah,
and
they're protected.
They're guaranteed.
So for the people, for my Giroux fans that really want him gone, you won't be able to do that through the draft. And he's a flyer. Like, he's the flyer for that contract. You have to live with that. Say what you want about his game. Like, I'm not going to defend it right now, but
Giroux was in the league top 4.
I will. He's again been your best player.
I've literally never once said that Claude Giroux is a problem for this team, and I'm not about to right now. But yeah, I just I'm just for sake of like humoring some of the people. Yeah, as far as that goes. You could potentially very, very small chance you could move Voracek, slightly larger at JVR. Guys like and really, how deep do you want to get with it? But like, guys like Raffle, could be on the if you want to just shed some salary and get different. But I don't know. If you're going to do that, I think JVR and Voracek are the guys. I don't think you need to just start selling pieces and make your team bad when you're trying to... Whatever you do this year at the deadline, you need to make sure that you're still putting a decent product in front of your goalie, whom I hope is Carter Hart. I'm not just going to give him the the rest of the year off. But hey, if that's what's got to work for him, it is what it is. I personally think, I would, if I were the athlete, I would want to play through it. So that's where my headspace is. Like, if I'm in a slump, I don't really want to. I get the idea of like, all right, I need to sit and watch it, but like, I don't want to keep sitting, or especially if it's in your head, it's just gonna keep spinning. That's me though. I'm not Carter Hart. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. This isn't Carter's call. This wasn't Carter requesting.
They
didn't give Carter a choice.
I agree with that, and that's why I'm phrasing all this with the preface that the Flyers could be doing damage, and again, see Carson Wentz situation. Like, I don't want to keep drawing parallels, especially when I saw Wentz 2.0 or whatever in chat earlier, and trigger warning went off. But because if it gets to that situation, I'm gonna need new equipment in the war room, because I would throw a temper tantrum if we just jettison another star out of this town. We need, as a city, to stop doing that. And stop willfully doing it. I don't usually see fan bases just pushing with the pitchforks stars out of the door. So
I've never seen a city hate their best players like Philly does,
and love their worst.
Oh yeah, I mean never. That was the people who were upset about Tony Bradley. Is that even his name? Is it Tony?
Yeah.
Which should tell you everything you need to know about this player. Stop, guys. He was okay. Let's stop. I get it. It's funny. Joel was saying, let's build a team around him. It's not really that. He's not that serious. Come on. The people who were losing their minds over that were absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is another example of that.
Yeah. At some point, you got to realize that you're trying to win this year, and a guy like Tony Bradley isn't going to be in any team's playoff rotation for a minimum 2 more years. Minimum.
The Flyers versions of that have been Zach Ronaldo or Dan Carcillo or Kevin. I'm sure you can name about 15 other players.
For Sixers, for other Sixers, your Landry Shamet. Remember when he was here for a hot minute and he was draining threes and everyone was like, can't trade him. And you got Tobias Harris, I think, for him. And who have you heard his name twice? Other than
he got traded again.
So exactly, you heard his name once when he got traded, and then twice when he got traded. He's these guys that we fall in love in that go in. Michael Carter Williams is a rookie of the year, and you maximize your value. LaPerriere, I know that's a good one for Kevin. That's his boy. That's his boy.
But I know why he got it, because he laid in front of a shot.
Yeah. No, but we as Philadelphians. And I don't want to say we, but whatever.
Still got a job.
It's
he still has a job.
Keith, that was 11 years ago, and he still got a job with this team. I love this team to death, but come on.
That's job security.
No, I agree.
And that play, I was there. I watched it happen. I was scarred watching that play, and that man still has a job, even though they had the worst penalty kill in hockey for the 4 years he ran it, and now he's literally the player's keeper. He's just there to pump him up. Hey, good job. Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it's justified. I just said I get why people love it.
That was a good one. Whoever said that was great.
It's watching Aaron Rowan. Yeah, everybody loves Aaron Rowan because he bashed his face on.
Oh, easy. Aaron Rowan can play baseball.
Aaron Rowan can play.
Well, I'm not.
Aaron Rowan is legend
status that's my guy.
You don't.
That's what I'm saying.
He is legend status for that.
Don't you dare bash the center fielder. Don't you dare bash the center fielder on my channel.
Am I allowed to bash Ben Revere because he was a center fielder?
Yeah.
He has one more home run than all of them.
Oh, we got
or two more. Excuse me.
Forgot to put the phone on vibrate. No, Aaron Rowan was. I'm not that guy a lot, right? But Aaron Rowan was my favorite Philly when he was here.
Well, didn't he wear number 10?
No, we're 33 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Like that.
But if you were 10, that would have been. I just felt the cup.
Center field and 10 is it's just
that's too much for me to handle. Yeah. But counterpoint catchers wearing 10 is also a big thing. Is that's where my love for the number 10 comes from. Darren Dalton. Darren Dalton's my favorite baseball player of all time. And
I was gonna go down way more inappropriate vein on that one.
Yeah, and JT Realmuto being the stud that he is, being a catcher wearing number 10, it really feels right.
He's such a gun too. Like, I just can't.
Yeah, that's what we did. Was it you who wrote in chat earlier that they can move him to first base? I will jump through this screen.
Yeah,
they finally have a guy you can't run on, and you're like, let's move him to first base.
Yeah,
I'm not saying move him to first. He plays first base to give him a break on his knee, but give him the lineup.
Yeah, if I need to give him a
backup catcher to do that.
If I need to give him a break, I probably just give him a break. But I think you paid JT that money to do that productivity at a position that not many other people can do. When you have that productivity at that position in baseball, you presumably can have a jump on the competition.
Which,
I mean,
by the way, this is me campaigning further for the DH in the National League.
Again, I wouldn't even want him to DH. I wouldn't want him to. I want JT Realmuto's productivity to come at the catcher spot, because
you
then
can't have him in the catcher spot for 162 games. You can't.
And I agree. So sit him. I like when he and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this is the be all end all, but this is how I would handle it. You know, if I'm managing the team and if I'm thinking for everything, I think that money wise, that money is best spent if he can get that production from a catcher, because then it makes every other, position from a money aspect even more valuable or less valuable, whatever it is.
Right. Stat-wise, he's a mid to high first baseman, but as a catcher, he's an elite level catcher. Yes, so if you can get high to average first baseman stats from whoever it is, Hoskins, whoever they move over there at some point or trade for at some point, then you're winning. You have, like Stain, you have a step on every team, because most teams' catchers don't put up a third of what.
Yeah, and Knapp's a pretty good backup catcher too.
I need him to go away.
I'm not a huge Knapp fan, but he's a decent backup catcher. He is the Brian Elliott of the Phillies.
That is another guy who goes on that list. That the Bradley list, all the guys who are not that good that this city loves. That he's up there.
Does Knapp have a fanfare?
Oh my God!
Really?
They love this guy for some reason.
I never got that vibe.
I think it's all, but isn't he the one who made the catch at home plate to win the game? They were throwing him out from like left field or something, and he held on when he shouldn't have, and then after that they never shut up about him. I can't stand when he's in the lineup.
It's like Eric Bruntley with the triple play.
Hey, that's in the Hall of Fame. Need him a catcher? Yeah. His value is significantly less anywhere else. Example, look at Buster. Yep, great point, Nick. Great point.
And Joe Mauer was the first one I thought of with that. Yep. Joe Mauer is another guy who they did that too, and the team went from being a every year contender in Minnesota to just falling off, because when you lose that, you lose a lot.
No, yeah, people hate Knapp. Yeah, so I don't know, but the Knapp.
Nappy, they hate Nappy.
Listen, it's one of the first times I've been on the side.
I remember like Chris Coast. He was a huge one. If we're talking backup catchers that this town loved, Chris Coast. The journeyman, and we're slowly as you start recalling names of Chris Coast, chat. That's usually when you can tell we're now moving into the final segment of the show. So yeah, just want to, now's the time that we can, if we missed anything, we talked a little Sixers this show here and there. But if there was any Sixers points that you want to bring up, any Eagles, Flyers, anything that we missed, if you came late, whatever it is, now's the time to get it in. But yeah, it was a fun.
I've been trying to come up with a good Flyers name for you.
So what, did I miss the Eagles talk? Brilliant trade, Brad. Yeah. We here at War Room Philly, of course, back everything that Howie Roseman does, and especially after the two stellar days, pro days that we saw. And Chase, that's your boy, right? Right. Because we had the Smith-Chase debate, I think, once or twice.
Yes.
I'm a Smith fan, but I also believe that, and again, remember how you were like, wasn't sure about Pitts? And I was that way about, maybe Chase is the best wide receiver in the draft.
No, see, I'll give all credit for Chase to my brother because I remember his season last year. I mean, I remember Burrow. I remember watching a ton of Burrow last year. But he had Jefferson. He had 4 wide receivers and a tight end who were all worth looking at. And Chase not playing this year, I was just like, it's, you kind of just fall by the wayside. And I think that's how everyone felt. And my brother's like, dude, don't forget, this dude is still the best player in this draft. And I was like, let me go back. And I watched the tape. And then I watched his pro day, obviously, today. But I was already sold on him. He's unbelievable. Him and Smith had such 2 different skill sets, but they can really do just about everything. I was talking to somebody today that Jamar Chase may be the best wide receiver prospect we've seen since Hopkins.
Yeah. Yep. And I also feel that I feel the same way about Chase and Smith. Like I see Smith and I think the thing about Smith too is he's got some of those intangibles. Now, for a wide receiver, what do they get you? You know what I mean? Like how much? Like when you talk intangibles, you want someone that's gonna have a lot more control of the game. But man, I see baller in Smith, and that's something that when it stands out on film or just watching a game, I think that translates big time. And man, at 6. To have either one of those guys or Pitts, I mean, it was even for Howie Roseman, it was can't miss, and yet we missed because we're gonna, the Eagles are going to have 3 first-round draft picks next year. Ooh, we get 3 chances to screw it up. But yeah, it was a tough one. So I can understand the gathering the picks. Yeah, again, you're right. Like all of that logic is you're right. But then, and you even say it's you still don't get rid of Chase. You don't do it now. At least wait, and then go. Oh, Chase is gone. Now now we'll trade away. Where Smith is like the guy's not there. Now we'll trade back. You still getting the same amount, maybe even more, because the team wants a quarterback. But Howie Roseman, if there's a way to make a move the wrong way, Howie Roseman will do it. And it's to the point where I look back on things and I'm like, man, you know what? Ruben Amaro wasn't that bad. And Keith has been around. Like Keith knows my disdain for Ruben Amaro maybe better than anyone.
That was pretty big of you.
It's to the point where I'm looking back on things and going, man, that at least when Ruben was slowly tail spinning a team, they were competitive for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ruben, I think a lot of people forget that Ruben took over in 2009. Ruben wasn't the general manager in 2008, because I hear a lot of the times, oh, well, he won the World Series. No, he did not. Pat Gillick did. But Ruben did get them back. And then 2010 was arguably the best regular season of all time, or not arguably, it was historically the best season of all time. It was arguably the most talented roster. Howie Roseman, after the Super Bowl, just took his team and gone in 60 seconds. Like, they didn't even have a run. We didn't even get a chance to idolize guys like Zach Ertz, Brandon. Like, we just immediately went into bitching about everything mode. And it's very bizarre the way that I feel about the 2 championship teams that we've got to celebrate. Where I look back on the Phillies with, again, warm and fuzzies, and with the Eagles, it's just like I don't even know. I'm still, again, it's right there. I'm not regretting winning the Super Bowl ever, but I don't know. Doing the trade early is weird. Yeah. Made me think they were going to try for Wilson or Watson, but they don't have the cap, and I don't want any part of Watson. I don't want with what's going on with him. I can't, in good conscience, sit here and say what I say about Odubel Herrera and then say that let's bring in Deshaun Watson. If he goes through the legal system and does some time, then maybe he deserves a second chance. But nah, I don't touch Deshaun Watson with a 10-foot pole right now.
I think that you would go absolutely wild if it was Wilson.
Yeah, again, I would absolutely love Russell Wilson. It's just like
okay, that makes so much more sense. I was thinking you were talking about the kid.
To go and trade for Russell, there's no salary cap, and then okay, so what does putting a quarterback on a really crappy team do? Like, you know, the Russell Wilson thing, as much as he's one of my favorite players, he might even be my favorite quarterback in the league right now. I don't think it's the right move. Heard people predict Aaron Rodgers gets traded. I don't think so.
This will be his last year there, though.
Yeah, I don't think he gets traded.
Brett Favre.
Yeah, I think this will be his last year there.
You say that, I think Kirk Cousins is up next year. What if the next thing he goes and just does an absolute Favre and goes right to Minnesota? I hate the Vikings after the 2017-18 run and them trying to do their whole thing and then acting like we were the dicks when we ran them out of our stadium and then celebrated in their stadium for the Super Bowl, which did just make it a little bit better. But I digress. Guys, any other final thoughts? We're about to come up on 2 hours, and this is not the NFL draft show, which we're about to...
So, we talked about that briefly earlier. Here's what I'm going to tell you my biggest concern is. One, I didn't handle last year's draft well, and I was just in chat. So, being on camera, you might get a black screen for a little bit when the Eagles pick. But more importantly, the Cowboys and Giants picked directly in front of the Eagles, which means that we'll be discussing who we want the Eagles to take while the Cowboys and Giants select them.
Like CeeDee Lamb last year?
Right.
So we're discussing who the Eagles should take while the Giants and Cowboys discuss who the Eagles won't be able to take.
Right.
Yeah, we got a Let's Go Sixers in chat. Comes down to the playoffs. Yeah, it really does. And the team is locked in. Buyouts coming in. Hopefully this team can pick up a 4. That's really a 4, even a 4 or 5 would be most ideal. Someone that could, spot and spell some minutes just to eat up the regular season, the tail end. But yeah, Sixers are looking good. The trade deadline left a lot to be desired. But that was sort of last week's talk. But yeah, it's like you're saying, Rob. It's all at this point. It's just let's lock it in and see what we got going in. Let's get the playoff rotation going, also most importantly, stay within the 1 or 2 seeds. You don't want to fall below that. I don't want to sound cocky, but it almost feels impossible for this team to do it under Doc Rivers to fall below the 3rd seed. But you really want to make sure you stay 1 or 2. And that's important because you want to hold off on playing the Nets until the Eastern Conference Finals if need be. But yeah, any other final thoughts tonight? Even if they're randoms, you guys see the Snyder Cut?
I did.
Oh,
yeah, I think we talked about that. Right?
So we talked about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I just figured I had to throw it out on chat.
Bring back the Snyderverse.
Did you guys see the black Did you see the black and white version though?
I did actually.
Did you?
Bring back the Snyderverse.
Yeah. I don't want the break. See, my problem. This was my biggest concern about this thing at the beginning was they're not gonna do that.
I want the Flash movie though. Can we just get the Flash movie?
Hold on, that's coming.
That's all I want.
At this point, you have to reset everything with it. So, like, that's got to be their next. I mean, it already is their next. But at this point, all that's going to do is reset them. But they need to decide what they're doing, and they just don't. And that's beyond frustrating because I like the MCU. I really, really love the MCU. But DC's comics have always been significantly better and had, outside of the X-Men, had significantly better characters. And yet they can't get a damn movie right. As an
adult, I find myself reading significantly more DC comics than Marvel. I love both. I'm very much Team Marvel, as anyone knows. But I do love both. Batman is the Red Hood is my favorite DC character. So yeah, like.
They're currently messing him up now too, though. I can't stand
in Titans or whatever. Is he?
No, I just mean in comics actually.
Oh yeah, I haven't. Okay.
The New 52, they kind of made Jason more like a Punisher knockoff.
Yeah.
Like when he first came back when the original story came out about the Red Hood, he understood that like killing off mob bosses does nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so instead he determined that he was going to just take over their empire and become the mob boss in Gotham and prevent them from doing anything that would hurt anybody else. Like that was his plan. Now he just goes around killing people.
Yeah,
now he's just a Punisher.
His whole thing was he wanted to be his thing was, you know, he wanted to be the hero that Batman couldn't be.
Right, he wanted to outsmart crime and outsmart Batman. Yeah. And instead now he's just become an anti-hero who kills bad guys.
We got some side thoughts in chat from Stun, from Dennis. Good B-ball movie. It's called Boogie. Just came out and rent or buy on Comcast. And then from Rob, only random thought. You guys have a breakout either fantasy player or fantasy wide receiver this upcoming year. I was thinking Pittman Jr. before Carson went there.
Well, yeah, because Carson's not going to throw it to him because he won't give up his number to him because, you know, a second-year wide receiver should be keeping the quarterback's number.
Oh, yeah, if I was Wentz, and I know Wentz isn't, you know, the petty kind of person, I wouldn't be throwing to him.
They asked him about that. They asked him about it in the interview, and he was a much bigger person than I am because I would have said exactly what you guys just said. That dude is not getting the ball until I'm wearing 11.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I was here first. I have this number, dude. You've spent a year in the league, and you're the wide receiver, and you did maybe kind of a good performance in a playoff game, and that's it.
To answer the question though, I do like Paris Campbell actually more than I like Pittman. I think it just fits the way Carson throws the ball better.
Yeah.
Feels more like if Jordan Matthews still had skill, or ever had skill, I guess, depending on your thoughts on Jordan Matthews. But possession receiver with a little bit of speed. I think Michael Pittman's a good player, but I think when it comes to the fact that it'll be Carson throwing the ball, Paris Campbell's dealt with some injuries in his career, but I think the dude can actually be a pretty solid pick. Basically, anyone on that offense, I think, is about to blow up because I am sure that this is going to blow up in the Eagles' face.
I agree with that.
Any other final thoughts tonight, boys?
By the way, my breakout receiver, I should say, would be Brandon Ayuk. I think he's going to be huge year this year.
Okay.
I like that a lot. Or Travis Fulgham. No, but Brandon Ayuk.
Who's Fulgham playing for?
Shots fired. Yeah, I got nothing. My brain hasn't even thought about fantasy in over a year, so I don't want to tell you something because if you take my advice, that'd be bad. But yeah, I am gonna have to start getting those juices flowing again, huh? I guess we'll have to roll back out the fantasy football league this year, dust it off. But yeah, guys, it was a tumultuous show. We're coming up on 2 hours, which is double the time that we were supposed to be here for. I appreciate both of you guys coming here and hanging out extra late with us, and we all gotta get to work and whatnot. Yeah. So
one nice thing.
Go ahead.
Time again.
There we go.
I knew I'd come up with a good flyer that everyone loved for absolutely no reason.
So guys,
but yes.
So on that note, that's the good one. We're gonna end on time. Do college fantasy. That's wild. College fantasy. That's insane. On that note, guys, it's been fun. Make sure you follow us. Facebook.com/WarRoomPhilly @WarRoomPhilly on all of the socials. So yeah, on that note, I'm Anthony Pinto.
And I'm Keith Malachewski.
And I'm Kevin Christian.
And we are out of